I was exactly in a hospital when I was telling the doctor that I was having the craziest dreams with and I was going to take those dreams as an inspiration for some kind of story that I was going to write. And I was telling him that the story was about a woman. The dream was about a woman who discovered that someone in the university was performing some kind of sculptures, and as these sculptures were made by trees, and somehow this girl was finding that these sculptures were trying to tell her that somehow there was a secret behind the university that was only be able to understand it if you see that sculptures were actually persons who were silenced for a reason. And I was telling him that, and his eyes were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and always with his little notes, taking notes of everything. And he was like, well, yeah, that's why the dream was because all the products and all the things that you have in your head. It was like he really was trying to tell me that somehow I go high because whatever procedure I have, I was in the hospital, and that was the reason why I was having those dreams. Eventually, I was telling one of my spiritual directors that I used to go, and I was telling her that I was having a dream, or I really don't remember if it was a dream or just an inspiration of a dream, that I wanted to share the world how ridiculous the sexual objects of a woman for publicity look like. And the best way to show that was with frogs. And the legs of the frogs were going to be the parallel reality that I was going to show in this story, where the woman's, to show how ridiculous it is to use a woman as an object, as a sexual object for selling things and publicity. So I was going to make a story about a city that understands how attractive the legs of frogs were. So everything in the city were going to be full of legs of frogs. And everything was going to be green in order to sell anything. So any mechanical procedure for your car, any food, any book, anything will be surrounded by legs of frogs. And my story was, the main idea of my story was to show the ridiculous thing about how to use the woman as an object for selling other things. It's so ridiculous that like using frogs and green things. Somehow, in all the things that I have done in my life, those are the little things that I never really ended up finishing. I have it, the first erase, I'm gonna say like the first try of that, maybe on hand, but I never ended up writing it, and now I understand why my spiritual director and this doctor was so surprised about it. I really don't know how this goes, but I was finishing. I was I was trying to confess in a church, and I went to this church, and when I was in, that it turns out that there was a spiritual retirement for one day. So there was a lot of ladies there, and I was asking them if I can take the time for the priest, just for a little time, to have a confession. At the end, they didn't give me the time, because in the other church close to the this spiritual retirement, I don't know if it's retirement, but spiritual time, and I don't know. There was no other priest to help me. There was no one, or the one who was, it was too hard to hear. It was you need sometimes you need a specific confessor. I never really need a specific confessor. I only need someone that it was not him. It was really difficult. He was deaf, and it was really hard for me to understand him, and because it was like very, it was difficult for me to talk with him, and it was difficult for him to talk with me. So it was better for me to choose another priest to confess. And it was not a big, it was not a mortal sin that I was going to confess. I usually, in that time, I usually go every week, just for little things that I could improve in the week. So it was not an emergency for me to confess. Anyway, the thing was that when I was there, this woman were talking, and I don't know why I ended up being in the moment when someone else is confessing something, and I hear it. And I don't know why they think I am trustable, because I don't know why they think I am in the system, when I am totally not. Turns out this woman says, you know that the fulanita, some ex-person, some died. We knew that because she didn't answer the phone. So we knew that she was probably dead. So we run out there, and we see her. She was dead. But suddenly, this girl, this other lady, told us to change the scene and put her in a different way that we found her. So the police won't suspect anything. But because if they found her there, the police was going to go to make a lot of research, and it's going to make a lot of scandal, and she was just dead. Then it really, I don't know why this has some connection, but I have this person who was working with me, and he was living in an institution that has the same, it's like the same institution that has the priest that I was trying to confess with. And this guy was fan of a program, a TV program that says 101 Ways to Die. And he always used to see me like a threat, telling me how a woman was dying with a fish in her throat, because she was trying to fish fish. She was fishing, and And somehow when she catch the fish, she got that and got inside her mouth, and she died there. But she always repeat that story, because I was trying to make conversation, because we always eat together, and I was like, what do you have new? What you saw in your favorite program, TV program? I was trying to make conversation while we're eating. She was always saying that same story. But he used to do it in a threat way, like. But I was thinking, I'm not fishing. I never go fishing. If I go fishing, now that I know that that's a way of dying, I will definitely close my mouth. Because now I know that I can die with a fish like that. So why someone will threaten me with that story? And I was thinking, all the different ways that could be a threat for me. And I was like, I really don't know why he's saying that to me. Turns out that somehow the persons who are not performing any ritual, strange ritual, or any witchcrafts or whatever these persons may be doing, we are a threat for them, just for existence. That's why they are so thirsty or getting us in some pervert activity. In those rituals or in any other pervert activity, because somehow, and I really don't know why or how, we interfere in their interactions. I don't know if it's because they can't submit us, or if somehow they got damage from us just for existence, and I don't know. I there's a lot of things that I don't know, but somehow I want to make this video to connect these things that I don't know exactly, because maybe some other persons will understand the connection between all the elements that I'm saying. Eventually they will say, oh, for example, that's because at the end these persons die and they call it the trees, and that's why the god Thor was sacrificing babies and he was a tree, and because the persons ended up somehow hold still, they become some kind of a tree or a plant, and they die in that way. And I really don't know. I really don't know nothing, and I don't really want to know anything until all this somehow got banished. We have in the Bible the hope of that some way all the enemies of the church will die together. But you have to understand that the enemies of the church are not exactly the enemies of Vatican or the enemies of the church in Rome. What happened is that the enemies of the church are all the persons who don't like to find the truth. There are an obstacle for understanding the truth, and persons who don't love the truth, because the real church is not in a specific institution or in a specific place. The real church is in every person who is in love with the truth, who is seek for the truth, and the one who's communicating the truth. So there's a lot of there's one church, of course, because there's only one truth. It doesn't mean that I know all the truth. It's one truth, and I don't know all the truth. No one does, because the truth is bigger than any human and angelic person. It's bigger than us, transcends us. But it's one. It's just one. It's not subjective. It's not relative. It's just one. It's just that I don't know the truth. But just to look for the truth, seek for the truth and love the truth and communicate the truth, just for that, I am a part of the church. So all the enemies of the church, this real church that is connected with the truth, are the ones who somehow they will going to die together. Eventually, and all the enemies of the truth, or all the enemies of the church, that is the same, they will die together. Don't know how. The Bible talks about some injuries, big injury that these persons may have, like a sign, because that injury they will have in the skin will show that they got connected with the beast somehow, and the affiliation of that evilness will be visible for everyone. Anyway, I don't know if that's going to happen exactly that way, or that was just a metaphor of what is really happening. I don't know. I really don't know. The only thing I know is that I don't want to know the specifications of the trees or the fish or any other things that may happen to the church, to the enemies of the church or the army of the church. The only thing I know is that we are all together trying to look for good, and even the bad persons are actually trying the truth. Maybe the persons who are the enemies of the truth, they were trying to actually look for the truth too. They are trying to look for but the bad thing with them is that they're trying to look for personal, individual interest. That's what is not good for them, because what we should look for is for not personal interest, for general interest, not just for particular interest of a group or save just a little group. We should think on everyone. So how to save everyone. So anyway, I don't have any hate for anyone. I try to don't hate anyone, but anyway, if something bad happened to the persons, I will sorry. I will sorry, and if it's someone who is trying to help the church, I will sorry more, because it will it will be sad. It will be sad for a person, because we're like, oh, he was trying to help and he was in damage, he was injured, he was bad. Anyway, somehow this is a spiritual war, and there's a group of spies that maybe persons were in these groups not looking for personal interest but the global interest, but they don't show that, so they will look for the good for the church, but I don't know if whatever they're doing is the right thing to do. But anyway, I am not telling them to do it, so I can't feel myself responsible for whatever they're doing. The only thing that I have to say in that is that by doing the natural things and don't getting involved with any anti-hygienic things or any inhuman acts, it's at least the way I found out to live the way I am as a human, and I like it, and I recommended that. Maybe other persons can't do that because they know other realities that I don't. So I cannot judge them. That's what I can say. I cannot judge them, and I hope that eventually, if we saw ourselves in the other world after that, we hopefully going to be able to pray for each other in order for all of us to find out the truth and be happy with that truth and be joyful with that truth. Hopefully.